Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on, V? I heard you wanted to do a video about growing up in the hood, man. I didn't know you grew up in the hood. So I'm curious. So tell me a little bit about it. Like, how was it for you?
Man, it was cool. I would never change anything the way I grew up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It made me who I am. Yeah, I did go through a lot of adversity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But,
like, I can imagine, like, you being who you are without having to say it, that you went through more challenges than I would growing up in the hood, as people like to say, because it's more of my type of people than, any other race.
I got the same struggles.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm curious.
Say, like,
right.
You ain't ever had to go through what I
went
through.
Exactly. Like you don't know nobody's story.
You don't know nobody's story. So I don't know. It's a weird subject to talk about because it's not something I brag about or try to like.
Plus, you don't like to.
It is a rare situation.
As growing up in the hood, you don't like to put your business out there, as people say.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, man. Tell the people, like, man, what's going on? How was it for you? Like, so how did you end up in the area you was in first? Let's get it, like, if you don't mind telling that story.
I mean, basically, just like anybody, my mom. So basically, my mom was adopted.
Right.
And so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, her mom died when she was young, and her dad was just basically. Wham bam, thank you, man, kind of spermed on her.
Same, my dad too.
And then, so my mom's mom died at a young age, so she got adopted by her stepdad, which was, rough around the edges. He was like, he was a Vietnam vet, so he was like kind of hardened and stuff,
stern,
and real
bull-headed,
weird,
strong-willed.
He really wasn't in my life at all, and he was barely in my mom's life. He did the bare minimum. I mean, he did more than some people. He could have just left her to,
Left
but
her
long story short, back to the subject. She grew up pretty rough, and so she didn't have a lot. She had to start working as soon as she got the age, like 16, 17, started working at Hardee's or whatever. So she was poor, and she met my dad. My dad was on some Playboy type stuff. He lied to my mom and said he was older than what he was, so he was real young. And they ended up got pregnant, and then he ended up splitting because he didn't want nothing to do with being a father at that time,
which is typical.
So so he ended up moving all the way, and I didn't know this at the time. I was 3, but he ended up moving all the way to Maryland, on the other side of the country, and he just basically
So it's
washed it off like he ain't had nothing to do with it.
So he act like you pretty much didn't exist.
Basically,
Oh, that's crazy.
And so now I got a single mom. She was already pretty much struggling when she met the dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The fuck? I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah, we at the park again. So.
But moisture and all these dang bugs.
But yeah, long story short, so single mom, no dad, he bounced out, so she was doing the best she could.
Right.
She got a job at a local hospital, being a CNA and trying to and doing the best she could, but CNAs don't really get paid that much, which is crazy because they do a lot.
Yeah, you think they would?
It's just like this, like putting out positive content.
Right, like it's crazy because my I didn't mean to cut you off. I want this to be more focused on you. I wanted this like interview style, but my mom worked CNA for years, man, and she used to come home literally her feet bleeding from standing on her feet all day. So I know
it's a tough job.
Yeah, so I know the struggle.
The CNAs out there.
Oh yeah, like y'all don't make enough. Like they should.
It's one of those thankless jobs,
Exactly.
They putting
You basically take care of other people's like relatives and parents and stuff, and you doing all the work that they not willing to do.
Giving them baths, you cleaning them, you wiping their butt. They rotate so they're not getting bed sores. You feed them. You doing anything that you basically a caregiver to hospitalized elderly people. You know, and my mom's had to see a lot of people that she made connections with, die, stuff like that. So
that's hard work.
She did the best she could, but they didn't get paid that much. So we live in, and she ended up we were in like a 1-bedroom apartment.
Right.
All the way up until. It was just me and her up until I was like 7. She met my stepdad, and then my grandpa ended up dying, and he didn't leave her much money, but he left her a little money.
Right,
and then houses back then, you could get a house for like $10,000.
Oh yeah.
So that's all she could
really
afford.
Nice too, man.
And so she got. I remember we ended up getting a house. It was a very small 2-bedroom house in the ghetto.
Right.
But in our eyes, like we came up because we had a studio apartment. Just for me and her for 6 years.
Upgrade to a 2-bedroom, hell yeah. Yeah. Be like, boy, be excited, happy. It's a mansion to y'all, especially from what y'all was going through until now.
Yeah,
but so
that's how I ended up in the hood. So basically,
so
she did the best she could. She couldn't afford to go anywhere else. She didn't have family. She didn't have a grandma or a grandpa that left her money. She didn't her like
which
all she
is
had was
another
her mom,
thing
and then her mom died, so she was left to a stepdad that didn't really want to be a dad.
Another thing that kind of breaks the whole cliche of you know, when black people die, they leave a will. When white people, when white people die, they leave a will. When black people die, they leave a bill. That's not true. You see, even even other races besides black people have struggled. Well, you know, growing up, that's why I used to hear sometimes like, oh man, black people when they die, they leave a bill. White people, they leave a will. That's not true. It just depends on the family you grew up in. So hey, we all in this together just to show y'all that all white people ain't rich, all black people ain't poor either. So just carry on.
A lot of those stereotypes, man, they out the door for me. I mean, a lot of people that never live that type of lifestyle, and they have lived the easy lifestyles and stuff. And there's people, man. My mom taught me at a very young age, don't judge nobody off of anything besides their character.
Because when you grow up poor, that's all you got is your character. Like that, your word, your bond, that's everything. Because you don't have materialistic things like rich people do. So all we can do is be stand up, good people, good citizens. But carry on. My bad. Finish your story.
Nah, I mean that's just basically to answer your question. That's how I ended up in the hood.
So
then she met my stepdad, but he was a bomb stepdad. He was getting drunk all the time. But my mom was, you know. Exactly. I love my mom to death, but you know she was already broken from my she's only been with two dudes her whole life, so she's that type of woman. She's just she's not no whore, she's not no you know what I'm saying. She got with my dad because he played her,
told her what she wanted to hear,
put spin game to her. He thought he was a playboy and stuff, and then you know he bounced, and then she was. So it was just me and her for the longest, and then she met my stepdad, and then they still together to this day. So
when did you start to see the difficulties in growing up in the hood and all that? For like, I say, when did you start, like the young people say, stepping outside? Like what age? Like for me, I was young. I was like 12, 13. Yeah. Like how old would you say you started like hitting the streets and stuff like that? Were you seeing like?
I feel like it was.
You know what I'm saying?
It was
different.
Early. It was really very, very early because like, it was pretty much right around. Because back in, I'm 35, so I was born in the 1990s. Shout out to all the 1990s babies out there. But, you know, I feel like back then, there was still stuff going on. There was crazy stuff going on, but not like today. But because, like, now, I got kids and stuff. I be, like, watching them even if they go down the block a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching them. I'm not allowing them to go down the street, past the next driveway. I'm watching them. I'm outside, though. I'm a helicopter parent. Like,
crazy.
Back then, like, they would just be like, go outside and do whatever. And my mom...
Just make sure you come in before the street lights come
on. At like 7 years old, because like I said, she was a CNA, so she worked all day. She got home. She tired as that thing. And then she dealing with my stepdad. You know what I'm saying? So like... he was getting drunk and stuff, and me and him didn't have a good relationship off the rip. You know what I'm saying? Anybody I feel like that's got a stepdad that comes into their life, I mean, that's a blessing, but it could also be a curse. It depends how that
person is.
And anybody that's with somebody... Now, this is off top, you know how we rant, but
it's your story.
Any mother that stays with a bum ass stepdad just so they don't feel lonely, because I feel like my mom was so hurt from like my dad leaving and being a single mom. She finally found somebody. She just was willing to put up with his bullshit.
Yeah, she held on to him.
Yeah, no matter what he did to her, he
she didn't want to lose. She didn't want that long.
He was doing all type of
I understand,
shit.
But
alcohol, drugs, like all type of stuff, and he was not good to me. And I feel like she still stayed with him, so that's where it actually drove a divide through me and my mom.
Because you feel like she chose him over you, but I'm your son. He a stranger pretty much.
And he was a bum.
I get it,
you know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't helping, he ain't doing nothing. He just causing chaos in my life, and he put a lot of trauma in my life. So at an early age, I was outside because I didn't want to be nowhere around him. So I was outside, and then the neighborhood that I grew up in, like I was just telling somebody the other day, I was kind of showing them like. We were looking on Zillow just to mess around and like see what houses are going for now because the prices of houses are crazy. So I went back and looked at my old neighborhoods and stuff, and I was just like blown away by the prices of houses. But anyway, I was showing a satellite view, and they couldn't believe. They're like, "Oh my God, look at all those houses! They're so close together." I'm like, "Yeah, that's how it is in the hood. Like every house is just right next. They're all small little poor houses, and they're all just right on top of each other. But it's kind of cool as a kid." Looking back on it, because you go outside and all the neighborhood kids are right there. You know what I'm saying? So like everybody's just knocking on each other's windows at 7:00 a.m.
Like,
come outside, come outside. And and you got all different age groups. And so it was cool. I just remember, getting them knocks on the window, be like, "Oh, about to go outside," and then my mom be good, just don't get in trouble. Watch out for cars and the basic stuff. Don't talk to strangers. And she did give me a lot of good principles. you know, while I was outside, and as a kid, I was
that's
just
how you
like,
stay safe, man.
Yeah, so
because again, it's a different environment. Like if we grew up rich and silver spoon fed, you're not in. It's not a dangerous environment, but it's still danger around. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Even though you live in a gay community, you probably still got some weirdos and freaks who live, but they're not quick to attack because they know people in gated communities that get more attention than people like us in the hood who go missing or something happen to them. Who gonna care?
Yeah,
but the people in that community. So yeah, you gotta have that mindset.
I feel like back then too, like more people cared about each other because like, I had friends.
Yeah, it was more
that
of
were
a
just
community.
my friends as moms that treated me just like a son, you know. And I never had to, you know, for many adults, I never dealt with any like, you know,
any like type of weirdo issues or anything like that.
Everybody just looked out for each other.
Like it was a community.
Nobody in the hood, nobody play that stuff.
I was just finna say that, y'all. Like, you could say what you want about the hood, but when you in the hood, ain't nobody gonna let nobody mess with no kids. I don't know if it's still like that, but when I grew up, we looked out for kids.
Yeah, kids.
Like females and kids. Nope. Oh yeah, and you like the elderly. Like when I was younger, if an older person is around, we'd be like, hey. Cut all that cursing and like ignorant acting stuff. Wait till the elderly lady like go by. We had like need anything, man. We was respectful. And then once the old people leave, then we start acting buck wild and crazy. You know what I mean? But nowadays these kids don't give a crap. They will cuss in front of the elderly. They will do all type of stuff.
Like it's heard a story about 2 kids getting shot up in a car. 9 and a 3-year-old. Like
even though it's not nothing new. It's just it's more chaotic now.
It's more chaotic.
It happens too much. It happens too often. But yeah, so like. Back to the interview, and I want to ask, like, how did you like? Because I'm sure you realized like you look different from the other kids you grew up around, but how did they initially like accept you? Like, I'm pretty sure like growing up where I grew up, they didn't accept you off the bat. Like, what did you have to do? Because I know you told me a lot about proving yourself and stuff like that. Like, can you divulge that a little bit if you feel comfortable?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. But so basically, like I said, my mom she always just told me judge people off character.
Right.
She taught me not to see color.
Exactly, right.
So,
which is a good.
So in my eyes, I never even thought about it at all, ever.
Exactly.
And like I said, when I was a young kid,
because that's
we
what
didn't do. I never had nobody say nothing.
You didn't know it, but I'm sure like the neighborhood kids, like, oh man, you know how it is, kids in the hood, they ain't got no filter. But go ahead, my bad.
But for real though, like the kids, like I grew up with all these kids from diapers, so like we were all like brothers and sisters, so like nobody ever said nothing to me
that's what's up.
when I was growing up as a kid. Like, nobody ever said nothing to like the adults.
Right.
I go over to my friend's house of different religions, ethnicities, ages, and then I've dealt with and I've never dealt with anybody ever say nothing to me ever because they knew that people try to portray stuff online all the time, and it's different now, but. Like they trying to divide people, but when they was growing up in the 90s, man, everybody just had love for everybody. It was as long they know we all poor. Right. You know what I'm saying? That was our
we
color.
All struggling trying to make it. Exactly. I didn't have
nobody trip off that stuff.
Right. But I didn't had white friends that grew up in the hood, like went to school with them. Like it wasn't a lot, but at the same time, we didn't. That's the one thing like I never got about like racism and stuff. We all in this together. We all bleed red and so and so, so and so. So when you grew up in the hood, like you said, our color is struggle. So you see him struggling and be like, oh, you accept him as we all in this together. But my bad. Finish it. Your story.
I mean there's so many different people, walks of life in this world that
okay.
But people just I don't know. Long story short, I feel like you can't judge no book by its cover because everybody has a different story. There's people that are, of every race have been born into rich families, and there's every race has been born into poor families and lived in the ghetto. So
on that note, I don't want to cut you off, but man, we got to get back to the job. I'm gonna come out with part 2 though. Right. Like I'm gonna start doing interview style stuff. I like this. Yeah. So. Hey, stay tuned. I'm going to come out with interview part 2 with my boy Top Z. He got an interest story that I want to kind of dive deep into if he don't mind. Hey. But, check out the channel. I'm going to throw out some little short promos. I'm going to drop it later tonight after work.
Appreciate everybody tuning in.
But, appreciate you guys for tuning in. People on Top Z channel, hey, love you guys. Keep showing my man support. People on my channel, hey, show my man Top Z support. Continue to show me support. We love you guys.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Right. Like, comment, subscribe.
Comment.
Exactly.
I'm tired of people watching my stuff and not commenting. At
Nobody
least say
comments.
Like critique me.
Right.
Put a laugh
speaking of comments, shout out to the Rocky Show. He always show up in the comments. I love you, brother. But hey,
Easy Academy, I
right.
appreciate you. You know,
Man.
you always showing love. And,
all I
know,
can
got
say
a few
is,
followers that show
struggle is
love.
real.
I know y'all like. I get some likes. I get likes. But show me a comment. Just say that you say what's up. You
it
know,
could be a thumbs up. It ain't got to be a whole paragraph.
You can say anything.
Emoji,
Like, I just want to,
right.
you know, I like to interact with my viewers and stuff like that.
True.
So, man, you know, this is kind of a touchy subject
Right.
today, but you know, we just freeballing. We just think of stuff to talk about, and it is interesting.
Right.
Growing up in the hood, no matter who you are.
Exactly.
You know, I feel like there's a lot of people that live in the hood that could give a great story because, you know, there's people that have dealt with a lot of struggle and adversity, and you know, they got out of it, and now they live in the best life. Like me, I'm a great father now because I didn't have a father. You know, I used, you know, I was
saved
used
it
to be
for part two.
Okay. You say for part
hey,
two.
we're going to dive in deeper when part two come. Thank you guys. Check out Top Z Views. Check out J.A.'s show. Like, comment, subscribe. Hey, we love you guys. Peace.
J&A show. Let's get it.